What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to GamerFuzion. Star Wars Zero Company lands on August the 27th, and it is not the Star Wars game most people are expecting. So today we are running through 11 things you genuinely want to know before you start it. This is the stuff that shapes your opening hours rather than the marketing beats. Some of it covers choices you cannot undo once the campaign is running. Some of it covers systems the game never really explains up front. Everything here comes from official material or from the hands-on previews that went live on August the 11th. Where something is still unconfirmed, I will flag it as we go. Let us get into it. Number one is the thing that catches people out. Zero Company is a turn-based tactics game and nothing else. There is no lightsaber dueling out in the field and no third-person action combat. You are moving a squad around a grid and spending points and calling shots. EA describe it on the store page as a single-player turn-based tactics game set in the twilight of the Clone Wars. Read that line carefully because every word in it is doing work. Single player means exactly that. There is no co-op mode and no multiplayer of any kind at launch. There is also no battle pass and no live service layer bolted onto the side. For a modern EA release that is genuinely worth pointing out, the studio is BitReactor and Respawn are collaborating on it. BitReactor is staffed with former XCOM developers, which is why every preview reaches for that comparison. If you have never played anything like XCOM, this is going to feel a very long way from Jedi Survivor. That is not a warning exactly, it is just worth knowing what you are actually buying. Number two is the practical one, so let us clear the logistics out of the way. Zero Company launches on the 27th of August across PC and PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. EA have listed a global unlock at 8 in the morning Pacific time, so this is not a rolling midnight launch in your own time zone. Everybody gets in at the same moment wherever they happen to be. On PC, the requirements are heavier than a turn-based game might suggest. The minimum listed is a GeForce GTX 1080 with 16 gigabytes of system memory. The recommended tier jumps to an RTX 3080 with 32 gigabytes. Both figures come straight off the official EA specification page, and you will want around 50 gigabytes free either way. There is one more thing worth flagging for Steam buyers. The store page states that an EA account link is required. On pricing, the standard edition is $50 on PC and $60 on console. The Deluxe sits $10 above that, and everything it adds is cosmetic. Ordering early gets you the Crystalline Astromech pack, which is droid cosmetics and nothing more. There is a collector's edition at $300 as well. That one is built around a Black Series electronic thermal detonator and a pile of physical extras. It is also not on Game Pass or EA Play at launch, so there is no subscription route in on day one. Number three sets up the story because the framing here is unusual for Star Wars. You play as Hawks, a disgraced former Republic officer looking for a fresh start. What you build around him is the outfit the game is named after. Zero Company is described as an elite squad for hire. The setting is the twilight of the Clone Wars, and that timing matters more than it first appears. You are not fighting for the Republic, and you are not fighting for the Separatists. You are the people both sides quietly hire when something needs doing off the books. Your opposition is a character called Fathom. She leads a Separatist-aligned cult known as the Infinite Coil. Previews describe them spreading a viral force that infects people and takes control of them. So the war itself is the backdrop rather than the plot you are following. If you came in expecting clone battalions and a front line, adjust that expectation now. Lucasfilm Games signed off on an original story here rather than a retelling of something you have already seen. Number four is the first real decision the game asks you to make. Before anything else, you build Hawks yourself. His appearance is fully customizable, and so is his specialization. That second part is the one to sit and think about. Your commander is not locked into a fixed class. The role you pick shapes how the rest of your squad has to cover for him. Xbox Wire noted in their preview that the character creation tools are available straight from the start menu, so you can build people before you ever load into a mission. Species options run wide as well. Devaronian and Togruta and Twi'lek all turn up alongside humans and Zabrak. archetypes stretch from Jedi through to scoundrels and gunslingers. Lead designer James Brawley told Xbox Wire that players can field completely unconventional squads. He compared it to running an entire party of white mages as a kid. The point is that the game is not quietly steering you toward one correct team. Take your time on this screen because it is the one you live with. Number 5 is the core of the combat, and it is where the XCOM comparison stops being lazy. Each operator gets 3 action points on their turn rather than the usual 2. You spend those on moving and sprinting and shooting and using abilities. 3 sounds like a tiny change written down. In practice, previews describe it as the thing that lets a turn breathe. You can reposition and still do something useful afterwards. Then there is the system that will actually catch you out, which is advantage. Successful actions generate advantage into a shared squad pool. That pool caps at 10 and it powers your stronger abilities without eating your normal points. The knock-on effect is that the order you act in matters enormously. One operator creates the opening and another spends the advantage to exploit it. Play this like standard move and shoot, and you will leave most of your power sitting unused. Everything else is familiar ground. There is cover and half cover plus elevation and flanking and percentage hit chances that will absolutely betray you at the worst possible moment. Number 6 is the one that will cost you a character if you ignore it. Operators do not simply lose health and bounce back between missions, they accumulate wounds, and those wounds carry forward with them. 3 wounds without proper rest, and that character is gone permanently. Xbox Wire reported that the tutorial mission demonstrates this by killing off an unfortunate Rhodian, so the game teaches you the lesson early rather than letting you find it at hour 20. What that means in practice is that your bench matters. You cannot run the same 4 favorites all campaign and expect them to hold up. Wounded operators need to sit missions out and heal properly. That is also why the medic specialization gets flagged repeatedly across previews. Keeping health topped up through a long fight stops wounds landing in the first place. On the higher difficulties, that becomes the difference between a rough mission and a funeral. If you have played XCOM, you already know this rhythm. If you have not, the urge to field your best squad every single time is the trap waiting for you. Number 7 is a choice you make before the campaign even starts. There were 4 difficulty levels in the build previewers played. Permadeath sits as a separate toggle on top of that, which is the important detail. You can run the game with wounds and injuries fully intact and still switch permanent death off. Xbox Wire described playing on the 3rd highest tier with permadeath disabled. They still found it a substantial challenge, so the difficulty is clearly doing real work on its own. Then there is Beskar mode sitting at the top. Beskar functions as this game's Ironman setting, which means no reloading a save when something goes wrong. Every mistake you make simply stays made for the whole campaign. That is the mode this genre is famous for, and it is also where it loses people. One caveat on all of this: those 4 tiers were what previewers saw in a capped build, so treat the exact names and the exact count as unconfirmed until launch. My honest suggestion is to leave Beskar alone on a first run. You can always start a harder campaign later on. What you cannot do is get 30 hours back after one bad squad wipe teaches you how the systems really work. Number 8 is a failure condition you want to know about in advance. On the missions previewers looked at, the loss condition was simply Hawks being eliminated. Your commander going down ends the run outright, no matter how well the rest of the squad is doing. So the character you spent all that time building is also a liability you have to protect. Pushing him forward for a better shot is a genuinely risky habit to get into. There is time pressure sitting on top of that as well. Missions carry an expiry timer and they drop off the board if you leave them too long. The campaign itself runs in numbered cycles that advance as you take jobs. So you are constantly triaging which contract to take and which one to let go. Objectives vary more than pure elimination too. Previews mention rescuing hostages and holding positions and extracting once the job is done. Missions also carry visible difficulty ratings on the selection screen, which is a fair way to do it. Squad slots in the preview build ran to 4 operators in total. Number 9 changes how you should treat your roster. Most of the operators you recruit are procedurally generated rather than handwritten characters. You can customize their appearance and their abilities and their personality. More importantly, you can respect any generated character at any point. That is a bigger deal than it sounds for a tactics game. It means a specialization you regret is not a permanent scar on your save file. So experiment properly instead of copying a build guide on day one. Alongside the generated crew, there are unique characters with fixed specializations. Xbox Wire named a Jedi Padawan and a Mandalorian bounty hunter among them. Those ones cannot be reshaped, so they anchor your squad while everybody else flexes around them. Operators grow along specialization paths as well, with Assault named for frontline work. Cross-training comes into it too, letting characters pick up bonuses outside their own lane. Weapons break into component slots that you swap yourself. Missions pay out across several currencies rather than one, including intel and credits. Some of it feeds leveling up the den itself. The short version is that almost nothing you choose early is locked. Knowing that upfront should make you far bolder with your first few builds. Number 10 is the system previews got the most enthusiastic about. Operators who fight together repeatedly build bonds with each other. Those relationships unlock synergies, so squad composition stops being a purely mathematical exercise. The people you keep bringing along get better specifically at working together. Between missions, you are on a base called the Den out on the Ring of Kafrene. You walk around it in third person rather than clicking through a menu. That is where you manage resources and pick jobs from a holotable and talk to your crew. There are narrative sections the game calls operations, which play out as choice-driven text scenes. Here's the part worth paying attention to. Xbox Wire reported that moral choices in operations show you how each decision moves your bond level with every single squad member. So the writing is not decorative. It feeds straight back into the numbers you are playing with. There are scouting sections too, where you explore an area in third person before the fight starts. Gathering intel there gives you an advantage going into the encounter. Skip all of this to speed run the missions and you are leaving real mechanical value behind. Number 11 is the one I would want told to me straight, so here it is. As of this video, nobody has published a full review of Zero Company. The preview embargo lifted on August the 11th, and those sessions were capped at a few hours each. Nobody covering this game has seen the late campaign. In a tactics game, that is exactly where things get decided. Bit reactors say a typical playthrough runs around 30 to 40 hours. So previewers saw a small slice of a very long game. There is no early access period either, so everybody finds out together on the 27th. There is one more thing worth flagging, honestly. On the 19th of August, Bespin Bulletin reported that gameplay clips had leaked out of console review copies. Their account is that reviewer accounts uploaded footage to the game's Xbox Club by mistake. The clips showed blocky, flickering shadows and texture pop-in and some visual artifacting. Xbox and EA pulled that club down the following day. Now, I want to be careful with this one. That is unverified, leaked footage from a build before any day one patch. It is worth knowing about, but it is nowhere close to a verdict. And that is the 11. Star Wars Zero Company is out on the 27th, and it is a genuinely unusual swing for this license. A single-player tactics game with no live service attached is not what anybody expected from EA in 2026. Now, I want to hear from you. What is the first squad you are going to build, and are you brave enough to switch Beskar mode on straight away? Let me know down in the comments. We are covering this one right through launch, so subscribe and hit that notification bell if you want the rest of it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.